So just in terms of the Academic Health Science Network, there are 2 across this patch. Obviously you've got Greater Manchester and you've got the North West Coast, which covers Merseyside, Lancashire, Cheshire and South Cumbria. In terms of the AHSN then, we've got 4 main goals which are up on the screen now. So the first one is around accelerating safer and better care, and that's around our patient safety programme and improving services across the North West patch. The second one's around developing networks of innovation centres. And these, I don't know if you've heard the phrase living labs. These are spaces that are encourage people to try things out in a sort of semi-normal setting. So it's a safe setting. So they'll set up a ward, for example, or an operating theatre. And you can use it to trial new ways of working or new products to see how it would actually work in real life. So we've invested in a number of these across the North West Coast. You may have heard about the one at Alderhay, the new hospital at Alderhay. They've got a new innovation centre underneath the hospital, which is a real buzz now of activity, and it encourages businesses to come and talk to the staff to understand what the problems are and help create solutions. Our third one is around creating economic growth. And we are funded by the NHS, we're funded by NHS England, and we're the only part of the sector which has a specific objective about working with businesses. And you know, historically there's a real mismatch between people's experience of working with businesses. And so what we're trying to do is to break down the barriers and to create safe environments so you can explore how you might work with different businesses and come up with different solutions that you wouldn't necessarily if you just stayed working with your NHS colleagues. And our fourth one's around driving digital technology. So we're in an age of digital technology, aren't we? We do it a lot in our home life, but tend to, in our work environment, it's slower to take that up. So we are trying to help remove some of the barriers and get more technology into healthcare. Our clinical programmes, they change over the years, so that is where we sort of bring our main goals into clinical settings. And then we've got 3 important capabilities, and this is around the collaborations and the networks, so identifying partners that can work together and that can have benefit and facilitating that. The other one's around showcasing high-impact innovations. So we do this via our website. We've got an innovation exchange where there's loads of innovations on there and more waiting to go on. So you can search on a clinical area or a particular setting, and it shows you examples of innovation that you may want to then trial in your service. And the third one is around encouraging the uptake of innovation. So we have a programme called PIP, which is putting innovation into practice, and that's a self-guided programme, but will be supported by a number of resources and training facilities. So, healthcare and hackathon. So, just a show of hands, has anybody been to a hackathon? No. Well, don't worry, there's lots of opportunities. So it came from Silicon Valley. They historically were hackathons were run by coders. So people who historically would sit in a back bedroom and code all day long and very rarely speak to people, got together and started working on problems, and they would spend 2 days, usually over a weekend, coding solutions, and that's where the pizza came from. So they would be head down working all day long, and then they would sort of socialise with pizza and beer at the end of the day, and it became a bit of a tradition. But as I say, it was very much around tech, and what we were trying to do is explore whether that methodology would work, the accelerated design and learning would work in a healthcare setting. So we've got a number of hackathons coming up. So on our website, there'll be dates going on in the next couple of days. So we've got one at the end of November and one at the end of January. So if at the end of today you're interested in having a go at a hackathon, there will be an opportunity. And within that, we work with partners, so we don't run hackathons on our own. We work with partners, and part of our agreement is that people from that community will be allowed the opportunity to participate in the event in terms of running it. So we very much want to develop the capability and the skills within the system so that more people can trial this approach. So whilst we love running hackathons, and we would love to run them every week, we very much want to train people up. So in advance of every hackathon that we run, we do a one-day training course which is around facilitation skills. So as you will see, we'll go through a number of slides. It's not your traditional conference. It's very different, and it takes a different approach and different skills, and there are different risks in terms of you running an event at the different stages of that event. So we train people up to spot those and to help the participants get as much as possible out of the event. So, what is a hackathon then? I mean, it's about getting a diverse group of people together to solve a problem. And your problem is usually set, your theme is usually set before the event. And I'll come on to a couple that we've run already. So you set a problem in advance and you work together in teams over usually a couple of days. As I said, traditionally they run over a weekend. So far we've done all of ours during the working week, but we are going to start experimenting with weekend hackathons now, just to see whether that makes them more accessible to different people. So it's about getting diverse groups of people, diverse minds in the room. And in terms of the difference between a traditional conference is, with a hackathon, you apply for a place. So it's not first come, first served. When capacity is full, you can't get in. You apply for a place and you put a description about what your background is. So you may be a nurse, you may be a coder, you may be an academic with an interest in mental health. And then you build up your audience so that you've got a really good mix. So it's really important that we get engineers. It's really important we get designers there, because they bring a different skill set to the event, and it creates a really richer product at the end of it. So we've got a short film now just to show you.
It's been months and months of preparation, and all of us in the Hacking Medicine team couldn't wait for this day to come, and it's finally here. So super excited. It's absolutely the day that we've been waiting for a long time.
Not only do you guys represent over 350 different healthcare organizations, but you guys all want to be here. It's awesome to see the overwhelming response from all of you guys that did choose to spend your weekend here.
Everyone is really excited about this forum, this opportunity to be here at MIT in Cambridge, to be a little bit dangerous with medicine and have a bit of fun to try to disrupt the categories.
What excites me the most about hackathons is the ability to put really smart people together that think outside the box. So it's two things I think at the same time. It's the intelligence and the training of all of these different people, and then these people who are also willing to go off book. And to get that together is a really rare gift, and I'm really grateful to be here.
Happy hacking!
Thanks. So I hope that gave you a bit of a flavour. That was a hackathon that was run in Cambridge earlier in the year, around May time, and we were very honoured to be part of that. We applied. There were thousands of people applied for that one, and there were only 400 places, and Juliet and I and two of our colleagues managed to get a place at that one. I actually thought it was Cambridge in this country when I applied, so when I found out it was in Boston, I was really pleased. So they are the global experts in terms of running hackathons, and our experience. They only mentioned awesome once in that film, which I think is quite incredible, because every other word was awesome. Everyone was awesome. Everything was awesome. So in terms of Why do we do hacks then? We do hackathons because we need to do things differently. We need to change our mindset. We need to change what we're doing and how we do it, because our whole environment's changing around us, and so we need to adapt to that new environment. Health and care is a really complex system, and it needs us to work across professional boundaries, across organisational boundaries, to look at what those problems are and to find solutions. And the really good thing about Hackathon is there's no hierarchy. You turn up and you've got a name. There's no baggage in terms of what role you do, where you've come from, how much experience you've got. You're there as an individual wanting to participate. So there's no hierarchy in it, and I think that's really important. There's a really big attempt to get lots of patients there and actually hear from the patients and citizens. So how does it feel when you visit your mum in a nursing home? And how does it feel when you're using a medical device and you know there's better products out there and they're probably cheaper because they've been on the market a lot longer? So really exposing people to that passion about what's really important to the citizens. And, excuse me, one of our learnings is that the event is an event. It's an accelerated event, but it's really important to us that it doesn't just become an event. There's a product at the end. There's some outcome and something that can take a legacy from that event. And so all our partners, we insist that they make a pledge to the winning team. But it's actually, from experience, it's not always the winning team that actually go on to design and deliver their idea. Quite often it's not the winning team. So we at least have a minimum pledge so that some support packages, whether that's coaching, whether it's access to different skills, to SMEs who have got coding experience or whatever, that we actually do that and bring it in. So this is our team. This is our experience so far. Hackathons are very high energy. If you sign up for one of our events, you will be in effect coached before you get to the event. So you'll get material about what it's going to be like on the day, how it's going to run, who's going to be there. We'll run a WebEx beforehand, so if you've got any questions, we encourage you to do that. So, and we do make people, you're not going to sit in a conference room for 2 days. It's going to be very active. You will expect people to be self-starting, to form their own groups, and to just take control, but really just enjoy it. It's an absolutely fantastic experience, and it is about providing the facility and the environment for you to be creative and for those skills to come out. So in terms of MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology just voted the top university in America. We've been working with them closely now for about a year, and we've been working to understand how they run hackathons. So they've got their own special hacking medicine team, and we've worked with them, we've shadowed them, and designed an approach which we think works in the health and care system in the UK. And we've tried it a number of times. We tweak it each time, and that's all part of evolving, and we take a lot of feedback. And MIT have been over a couple of times now and worked with us at actual events, and they laugh when they do their presentation in this country, because for them it's pizza and beer, lots of coffee. So they tweak it for us. It's pizza, no beer, and not coffee, tea and biscuits. So there's little differences about the culture. But we think now that we've got an approach that works, and we hope that you'll join us in one of our events and just experience it for yourself. So there's a lot of freedom around hackathons. You don't have to wait for the next meeting to talk about your idea and to take it to that next stage. You can just be really selfish and spend 2 full days working on a problem that resonates with you, or you've got a passion about. It may be actually one that you've put forward as an idea to find solutions. So instead of taking weeks or months or even years, as we all know in the NHS, you can go from this is a problem to these are some solutions within 48 hours. So it's really energising in that respect. So, the global phenomenon, I knew I wouldn't be able to say it right, you took it all the way. She put that slightly, yeah. MIT Hacking Medicine, they are the global leaders. They do several hackathons a month. They go all over the world. We're really proud that they've only done 2 hackathons in the UK, and they've both been in Liverpool, and we've worked with them on both of those hackathons. So they don't take partners on lightly. It's almost like a 3-month interview, and they sit in on our planning meetings, well, not physically, but they'll dial into our planning meetings. They'll challenge us every step of the way in terms of how we're planning the event, who we're engaging, have we got the right mix, because they really want us to make them successful, and we're very grateful for all their support that they've given us so far. There's also a European network, which we've only just found about quite recently, and they're creating like an ecosystem of people across Europe that are interested in hackathon, and we've managed to link in with them through some colleagues at Liverpool University, and they've already got over 7,600 people through Europe that have been to one of their hackathons. We're going to be working with them in terms of using social media to get some international perspective into our future hackathons. So, that we can learn from other countries and use more social media and more creative ideas. It's really interesting that, even though they've not been going that long, that out of their hackathons, they've already got over 600 different ideas and products. Not a lot of those will get taken forward, and that's fine. But we hope that the ones that do get taken forward are successful, and we can help support them to be implemented. Another dimension that we try and introduce to our hackathons is around bringing a specific skill set. So we've run hackathons where, in terms of our mentors, there's been a high concentration of healthcare scientists, so that they're bringing that scientific mind to the solutions. And we're also doing one which has got a high dimension of human factors. So again, that's another methodology that can be used to create solutions. And it's just a way about trying to mesh those two approaches and those skills together. So what have we got so far? Just as a couple of examples of some of the ideas that have come out of the hackathon. So the Alder Hay Hackathon, their winner was actually about creating a sensor that actually gets impregnated into a dressing, and it can detect moisture levels below the surface of the skin. So it's early detection if something's going wrong. And it was actually a sensor that was being developed by one of the universities in Liverpool for a completely different sector. It wasn't being designed for health, and they were able to match it and explore it, and they're continuing to work on that now. It'd be great to see that actually come into practice. And so that was the winning one. As I said about not all the winners go on to be successful, one of the finalists was around a patient board, so an electronic board that would sit in an operating theatre to track activity during those procedures. And we're really pleased that just last week they won European money. They won €30,000 to actually develop that technology, and they weren't the winner one. So it just shows. The second one we looked at is the Cheshire Hack, and that is around systems. And they're now going on to create a single point of access, and which was a problem that came out from multiple different partners working across Cheshire. And the final one is around a care home hack, which we only ran in July of this year. And the winner there was around finding a solution for people that may have hearing loss, so actually detecting them, and then what to do when you find that in care homes. But Juliet will talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So this just gives you an example that anything can come out of a hackathon. It can be a product, it can be a medical device, it can be a new process, it can be an app on your phone. Anything can come out, and we're not restricted in terms of what it would look like. So before I hand over to Juliet, I just want to say, has anybody got any questions?
In terms of how many ideas get presented, how do you choose them?
So there is a process. So at the beginning of the day, at the beginning of the session, people are asked to pitch a problem. So again, this would be all part of the coaching before the event. So You'll be told that you get the opportunity to pitch a problem, and you'll be given some guidelines in terms of how is it best to describe your problem. And then, so what you do is, this for example, there'll be about 120 people in a typical hackathon. So this room would be full. And what we do is invite people to come down to the front and give them a minute, say, for example, to just pitch their problem. One thing that the MIT team do is there's loads and loads and loads and loads of that 48 hours that's unstructured, where you can do what you want, but the structured parts are very structured. So, you know, if you've got a minute to present a problem, you will have a minute and then a clock will go off. If you've got 2 minutes to present a solution, you'll get your 2 minutes. And they have a really quite a nice technique where they clap you off. So it's a very polite way of saying, thank you very much now. and actually, when one person starts clapping, the whole room starts clapping, and you can actually hear people that are continuing to talk anyway. So it's a polite way of stopping people. So yeah, we could, out of 120, in effect, you could have 120 pitches. But that never happens. But if it did happen, you'd have, you know, part of the process and part of this being a trained facilitator is allowing that to happen and adjusting around it. Because once you've got your pitches, what you find is some people who don't know each other will have very similar pitches. And in the next part of the process, they might merge into teams. So it's all part of managing the process. But you wouldn't stop. If 120 people wanted to pitch, you would allow 120 people to pitch and then work around that. So did you have a question?
It sounds really interesting. I'm thinking how I could adapt this, because if we work with patients or residents,
Yeah.
there are many issues of power in here. I mean, confident, articulate. So how this idea that you have to be assertive or articulate when it's quite challenging for patients and residents.
Sure.
So how do you work with the community? And how do you leverage some residents?
So I'll talk a bit more about that. So that's something that I picked on. Not everybody is an extrovert. Not everybody likes getting up on stage and saying. So we are iterating our process. So part of that might be in the pre-work is, say, if you've got some problems you want to send in advance, and we could maybe do it that way. So we're toying with the process and iterating it. And I that resonates with one of the concerns that I had, that not everyone, it's a very American extrovert kind of process, and it's not always suitable to our culture. So it's definitely something we need to think about. Yeah. So yeah, so it's a mix of both. Certainly the care home hack we had, there was 140 odd was there, and we had something like 26 pitches. So not everybody is there to pitch. People are there, probably some of the people more introverted, people might have heard their problem pitched and not bothered getting up, or, you know, so not everybody goes to the hack to pitch. Certainly it's more of a culture in computer sciences, so some of the coders that turn up just turn up because they want to work on a solution to a real life problem, because they've got all the skills but they don't have the problems. So we've got the problems, we just might not have the skills to develop the solutions. So I'm going to move on, because I think some of these slides might answer some of the questions that you have, and then we'll take some questions at the end. Can you hear me? I'm shorter than Lisa. Is it the green one? Thank you. So we've talked a bit about the background. So the basic recipe of hackathons is that, you know, we need diverse sets of people there. We want a really good mix, that people that wouldn't normally get in the room together, we can bring them together. We need problems, and you know, that's where we look to the health and care system, because they are healthcare hacks. We're not there to kind of, you know, make a new product or an app for the iPhone or a game. So we want you know, doctors, nurses, people that work in care homes, or people who work in the system to bring the problems. What we need is some materials or some supplies that they can begin to play with and create. So we bring flip charts, pens, post-it notes. We might people bring their laptops so they can start creating slides or playing on their laptops. When we were at MIT, they had some people were building prototypes. In fact, at MIT, they were given an allowance to go down to the college shop and buy wires and electrical stuff if they actually wanted to go ahead and prototype something. But I guess what we bring kind of creative things that they can draw and map things out. And then pizza, and I guess the pizza for us really represents energy. So we bring them into a space and we provide provisions, we feed them, we water them. They say that all you need is food, water and Wi-Fi at a hack. That's what the Americans would say. So that we're just trying to create those conditions, and we're really very hands-off in terms of the facilitation when they're actually hacking. And all we kind of encourage them to do is with the problem that they're pitching, often it's abroad, we try and get them to really break it down, focus on one aspect of that, something that's manageable, build it up again and try and make it better, whatever it is they're working on. So I just wanted to tell you a bit more about the care home hack that we had. Now this is have I got a pointer? Yeah. So this is the winning team of the care home hack that we held in July. When people get into teams, we get them to call themselves a name, give themselves an identity. Now I think most of these people hadn't met before the actual hack day. And this lady here is a lady who is hard of hearing, and she pitched her problem, which was how do we, she's scared of getting old and going into a care home, and she has hearing aids, and who's going to keep an eye on her hearing aids and monitor her hearing while she's in a care home. And she was pretty scared of that scenario where she'd be sat in a care home unable to tell people what the issues were. And at that hack we had some healthcare scientists. There was a manager from the care home whose head's out of vision there. So we had healthcare scientists, we had patient, if you like, or someone with a problem. We had people who worked in care homes, and they hacked the problem. During the hack, they're encouraged to really find out about what it is they're hacking. So they might go online to do some research. They found out three quarters of people in care homes have an undiagnosed hearing problem. They had a reference to back that up from some research. So they're encouraged to go out. They're also encouraged to do some market research. They called a care home to say, how do you manage people with hearing loss in your care home, to do a bit of validation of what they think the problem is. They knew that there was poor access to assessments. Now the healthcare scientists have got the tools to do those assessments, so they worked together to bring the solution to a kind of near point of testing, to put all the tests that they need on a single platform and bring it into the care home, trained staff. And also the solution that they came up with was applicable to hearing, but it could also be spread to eyes as well, and other screening. So this is what they came up with, which was a platform really that you could put on a handheld. It's about a screening tool, so they could listen to some tests and respond. They have some YouTube training for either the care home staff or for the patients, call them the patients, I'm a nurse by background, the people themselves. And alerts, so reminders when your battery's running out for your hearing aid or whatever, so that the care home staff knew when to change batteries, because they don't know, and it's one of those common problems that can happen. And links to documents and other things could go on that platform. So I'm just going to play you a little video that we took at our care home hack, just to give you a feel for one of the hacks that we run. So hackathons are about bringing different people together who have different expertise to work on a problem in a really accelerated and intense way over the next 2 days.
Engage and empower our healthcare scientists workforce, of which there's 50,000 across the NHS, scientists and engineers working in all different types of specialties. But they're very creative, innovative thinkers.
think it's a really great opportunity to use those different sets of skills and different perspectives to bring something fresh and new to this area and to really think about a different way of solving these problems. We know that the solutions can't be that easy because they're often long-standing, but by working together we think we're going to get a better product.
We've been in touch with people from academia, so we're hoping we've got some coders here, some computer scientists, some designers, and we're really going to create that space where they can get together and start creating and developing.
And I like the idea of a hackathon because it sounded as though you could get to problems quicker and resolve things quicker.
I'm looking for good models of communication in care homes that could apply to hearing that I could therefore use in my fellowship to make some sort of an improvement.
At the moment, they're all in teams, they're all hacking, they're looking at their problems and trying to think creatively about different ways of doing things.
And without further ado, let's get started. So Digital Divas, if you could please make your way up here.
The problem that exists is how can I, as a person with cognitive impairment, meaningfully contribute to my plan of care, my life plan?
How is this actually going to enable her to have as full a life and purposeful a life as possible?
And the winner of our hackathon, Care Home Hackathon, is Sense and Sensibility.
I never dreamed that it would become something that was noticed, that was taken on, and that I could move with it, even help design it.
So hopefully that gives you a bit of a feel of the energy and the optimism we tried to create in the room as well through the facilitation. Is it green? Yeah. Is it? Yeah. So why do we think it works? Well, it's hackathons is you need to come to a hackathon in a frame of mind. It's going to be different. We want it to be different. We want it to feel different. We want it to sound different, so that we're putting people in that place where they're expected to behave differently out of their workplaces and into something that's optimistic. It's using design thinking process. It's bringing in different perspectives. It's bringing in new thinking that you wouldn't otherwise be exposed to. Getting a right split of getting an even split of the right people, and it's really turning disparate people who might never have met each other before into teams that are going to function for the next 2 days. So the format is that people come and they problem pitch. As we said, we ask them to bring problems. They've got a minute to pitch their problem, and we ask them not to focus on solutions. The whole point is to keep the problem open, so that we're not directing someone down the route. So people coming up and saying, "Oh, we need an app for," or "It would be good if we had a database for." We want to start with the problem and then keep it open to an open mind to what the solution might be. So we also try and, we coach people to say that tell the story from a human aspect. Why does it matter to people? Why does it matter to us? What does it do in your daily life that it bothers you? What is it stopping you doing? So really bringing that human element, which really gets people engaged in what the problem is. Then we have, once they've done their problem pitching, whoever's pitched a problem, give them a number, we ask them to stand at the back of the room, and then we, at the end of all the pitches, we say to the room, go to the person, go up and find out more about those problems, if you feel attracted to a particular problem. So that people have got a number, we've taken a note of the name and what the problem is, and then we line them up at the back, then the whole room will start mingling. They'll go and find whatever it is they're attracted to, what problem they're drawn to. And people will start naturally forming teams. And as a facilitator then, our role is really to kind of let that happen, but then also notice where people are on the edges and who might be struggling to find somewhere to fit. So it might, and the other thing is that there might be two groups who have got very similar problems, and it might be that we want to match them together and they can come to some kind of agreement on what they're going to work on. After they've done the mingling, they're starting to form into teams. MIT sometimes, they advise sometimes to do that. We've just got to gauge what's happening, but we might have a second round of problem pitching or solution pitching, they're calling it. But that's when they get up and they say, we've got a team of, we've got a scientist, we've got a nurse, we've got a coder, we're looking for a medic or we're looking for a physio, and they've got an opportunity to build their teams further. So that's the second round. And often we find in the second round, the problems that have been similar, people have merged, so there's a bit of culling of the number of the teams as the process goes on. And then it's really about team formation. They've got their problem, they've got their team, we give them tables, we give them supplies, and then they go off and hack. And that's really where it's very self-managing. They've got a time where they need to go through, getting together, agreeing their roles and working on the problem. So it's a very accelerated pace. That bit happens when they're getting into teams, and we just give them guidelines around, focus on who this matters to, what the journey is that you're trying to solve, or what the context is, but then also focus in even more on the pain points. What is it that you're trying to fix, and just keep honing down and honing down. And then the rest is, so that kind of takes, so usually do the problem pitches in the morning, over lunch they'll form their teams, and then from about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, we say, right, that's a hacking time, and then that's when they get into the teams and start hacking, and it's very hands-off. We're there just to make them comfortable, make sure they've got, aircon or, food or water, whatever it is they need, and enable them to hack. And then often they don't have to stay till late in the night, but we keep the facilities open till 7, 8 o'clock at night, so that it's not just the normal 9 till 5. And then we open it up again at about 8 o'clock in the morning. So some eager teams will come at 8 because they want to get on with their hacking. The second day, there's an expectation that they will present their solutions. So whatever the teams have been working on the second day in the afternoon, we have a round of solution pitching. So they'll tell us what the solution that they've come up from. In the morning, as facilitators, we offer them the opportunity to do some practice pitching. They've got 3 minutes. It's really tight. We might have a lot of teams to get through, and we're absolutely tight on the timing, as Lisa said. So they have a chance to have a practice run at their solution pitching, and that's really useful. They find that really valuable because they really don't have a sense of the timing then, how long they've got to pitch for. So they have a chance to practice that. Once they've practiced it, they go away and they fine-tune their final pitches. By 12 o'clock on the second day, we use Google Docs. We want them to upload their slides into a central point. Then we can organise them so that we've got them all nicely listed. So the other thing about the hacks is that they're learning new skills as they're doing it as well. And we absolutely make everything paperless in terms of administratively. They're allowed to draw on paper and what have you, but from our perspective, it's a lot tidier and neater if they're doing it on our Google platform. And Google Docs is a really good way of doing that. So we present the final pitches, and we have judges, so they're judged on their final pitches, and then we have the winning team prizes. So we usually have a couple of runners-up and a main winner. But we do emphasise, as Lisa said, that it's not always the winners that have got legs. The teams, there's a lot to it. It's about the team dynamic. It's about the feasibility of the solution. And certainly the care home hack. There's a couple of the teams that have worked on their problems. They're taking it. They're self-motivated, if you like. And in fact, they're the teams that are going to go on and do something with their products. So it's all about the people, as I say. We want diverse people in the room. We also have tried to pull together a real crack team of mentors. So as the teams are working, if they're becoming stuck on a problem, we have people who might want to help them. So we might have someone with medical expertise. We might have someone who knows about intellectual property. We might have someone that knows about commissioning, how you're going to get this into the system. We might have someone from business. We have SME advisors there, or we might have community interest partnership advisors there. So really, and depending on the subject, who would help those guys move on when they come stuck on a problem. So we're bringing some resource into the room for them. We need our expert facilitators, as I say. We offer training running up to the hack so that everybody knows what's going to happen on the 2 days, and hopefully it runs really well and smoothly. And then we have judges, so we try and get kind of industry leaders, whatever the subject is. So for the care home hack, we had the chair of the Association of Care Homes, we had someone from Innovate UK, we had Lisa. We had
healthcare scientist.
We had a healthcare scientist, yeah, the chief officer, yeah. So we try and bring judges who are much there to offer advice as well as like mentors as well. And sponsors, so whose interest it is in these solutions being developed. So for example, we're doing a system hack with Warrington coming up, that you know, the system leaders really need to know that this is often the start of a process. It's not the end of a process. It gives birth to little ideas and projects, and they need to be nurtured and helped moving forward. And certainly in our contracting, when we're going to do a hack, that we make sure that that's very clear, and that we ask them what their offer is to the winning team and how they're going to support them moving forward. So what happens after a hack? As I said, we get the sponsor to offer a support package, if you like. We might team them up with accelerator or incubators that might be out there. We give signposting to funding, sources of funding. We try and, so certainly for the Warrington hack, the projects that come out of that are going to form part of a work programme moving forward for the whole system to work on. So there's something in it that actually we are going to support you with your ideas. We're raising expectations, so how are we going to support those expectations moving forward? We're offering mentoring and coaching. We've got access to SMEs that we can buddy up with people, and formal coaching. The care home hack we've offered so many hours of team coaching for that team that have got together, and we're running that session next week. And as I said, for me, it's as much about the team dynamics and how people work together as them being the winners, if you like. So that often the teams that have that magic ingredients, that they will work together and they get on and they're all on the same vision, the same process. They will do well. So I thought there was tables in here, but there's obviously not. First of all, I was going to get you to have a bit of a think about what topics for hackathons, but before that, any questions? Sure.
Again, it's because I work on health inequalities, and I do get methodology, and I'm trying to see how can I use. Do you pay any involved fees? Because again, I think it's crucial, and the NHR requires to include patients in every single thing we do. But some of them, they might come from very marginal backgrounds.
Sure.
Socio-economic communities. It's very difficult that they cannot afford coming.
Sure. So if I'm hearing you correctly, do we support citizens and patients to come to our hacks and reimburse them? I think the simple answer is yes. We've got a patient involvement manager, and and we can offer, if they are struggling to get there, we can do that. And also we have her there to buddy up, because they might feel a bit intimidated with all these kind of. Some people can hold their own really well, some other people can't. So she can either support them herself, or she can, prior to the event, identify one of the facilitators, or even someone that's coming to the hack to say, well, you just keep an eye out for that person and make sure they feel comfortable. So I just wanted to flag up our webpage. Actually, on our webpage, under Driving Innovation, if you just Google search Innovation Agency Hackathons, we have a page for hackathons, and we have some information about hacks there, what our offer is, and also we will be putting up the dates of our future hacks, and then we also have some training dates, which I think we've got a couple of places left if anyone's interested. If you go on there, there's a Google form. I'm really into Google Forms at the moment, and you can register for that event. So I'd be interested in hearing from you guys about, what topics do you think, now that you've heard about the methodology, what are your thoughts around where this might be applied in your world?